The forest stood still, shrouded in an unnatural silence. A dense fog clung to the gnarled trees, obscuring the path ahead. The air hung heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. It was a place of secrets, where shadows danced and whispers seemed to emanate from the depths of the ancient woods. As twilight descended, the forest grew even more menacing. The last rays of sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting long, eerie shadows that stretched out like grasping claws. The silence was broken only by the occasional snap of a twig or the rustle of unseen creatures moving through the undergrowth. The forest held its breath, waiting, watching. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. A lone figure stumbled through the oppressive darkness, his heart pounding in his chest. Michael, lost and disoriented, fought against the rising panic that threatened to consume him. He'd been hiking for hours, but the path had long since disappeared, swallowed by the unforgiving wilderness. Each step he took seemed to carry him deeper into the heart of the forest's labyrinthine embrace. The heavy fog played tricks on his mind, twisting familiar shapes into grotesque figures that lurked just beyond the reach of his flashlight beam. He called out for help, but his voice was swallowed by the oppressive silence. The forest offered no comfort, no reassurance. It was as if the very trees themselves were closing in on him, eager to claim him as their own. The wind picked up, swirling through the trees with a low, mournful howl. Michael shivered, pulling his jacket tighter around him as the first drops of rain began to fall. It was then that he heard it, a faint whisper, carried on the breeze. He stopped, holding his breath, straining to hear over the pounding of his own heart. The whisper came again, closer this time, a sibilant murmur that sent chills down his spine. He couldn't make out the words, but there was a chilling familiarity to the sound, as if something ancient and evil was trying to communicate with him. Fear lent speed to his steps as he stumbled forward, desperate to escape the whispers that seemed to be closing in on him from all sides. But the forest held him captive, its unseen presence growing stronger with each passing moment. The rain intensified, transforming the forest floor into a treacherous, muddy bog. Michael's flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into absolute darkness. He cursed under his breath, feeling a surge of despair wash over him. Through the sheets of rain, he thought he saw a faint light in the distance. Hope surged through him, weak but persistent. He stumbled towards it, his legs heavy with exhaustion and fear. As he drew closer, the light resolved itself into a flickering lantern, hanging from a wrought iron hook beside a pair of imposing iron gates. Beyond the gates, a long winding driveway disappeared into the darkness, leading to what appeared to be a large, imposing mansion. It loomed out of the mist like a phantom, its silhouette stark and forbidding against the storm-tossed sky. Section 5. The mansion beckons. The gates creaked open with a groan of rusty hinges as if beckoning him inside. Michael hesitated, fear warring with a desperate need for shelter. The rain was now coming down in icy torrents, and he knew he wouldn't survive the night exposed to the elements. With a shuddering breath, he stepped through the gates and made his way up the driveway. The lantern cast long dancing shadows that stretched out before him, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes that made his skin crawl. As he approached the mansion, he was struck by its sheer size and grandeur. It was a sprawling Gothic structure, with tall, pointed windows and a steeply pitched roofline that seemed to disappear into the storm clouds above. But it was also clear that the house had fallen into a state of disrepair. Section 6. Within the walls. The front door, a massive, ornately carved affair, stood slightly ajar. Michael pushed it open cautiously and stepped inside. The air within was heavy with the smell of dust and decay, and an unnatural stillness hung over everything. He found himself in a grand foyer, with a sweeping staircase that led to a shadowy upper floor. A massive crystal chandelier hung from the vaulted ceiling, its once sparkling facets now clouded with grime and cobwebs. Faded tapestries hung on the walls, depicting scenes of hunting and revelry that seemed at odds with the oppressive atmosphere of the place. He called out, his voice echoing through the empty rooms, but there was no reply. The silence was absolute, broken only by the sound of the wind howling outside and the occasional creak of the old house settling around him. Section 7. The Presence. As Michael ventured deeper into the mansion, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He could sense something lurking in the shadows, something unseen but ever present. The air grew colder, and a prickling sensation crawled up his spine. In the flickering candlelight, he thought he saw movement out of the corner of his eye. He whirled around, heart pounding, but there was nothing there, just shadows, playing tricks on his overwrought nerves. Or were they? A sudden crash from upstairs sent him jumping. He froze, listening intently. Silence. And then, the distinct sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming down the stairs. Section 8. Fleeing in terror. Panic surged through Michael, cold and sharp. He didn't wait to see who or what was descending the stairs. He turned and ran, his breath catching in his throat, his footsteps echoing loudly in the silent house. He raced through darkened hallways, his mind a blur of terror. Doors slammed shut behind him as if propelled by unseen hands. The temperature plummeted and the air grew thick with the stench of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. He could hear the footsteps behind him, gaining on him with every stride. He didn't dare look back, didn't dare slow down. He had to get out, had to escape the clutches of this nightmare. Section 9. Never look back. Michael burst through the front door and into the storm, the rain a physical assault against his skin. He didn't stop running, not until he was far away from the mansion, until the trees of the forest had swallowed him once more. He never looked back, never dared to return to that place of shadows and whispers. The memory of that night, of the chilling presence he had encountered within the mansion's walls, would forever haunt his dreams. The haunted mansion remained, hidden deep within the forest, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. Its secrets remained, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its gates and cross the threshold into darkness.